is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Good morning, guys, or lunchtime. Why are you shaking your head already, Nick? Seriously? If you don't like it, you can get up and walk away. Very simple.
All right, then.
I mean, no one's forced to be here, you know?
What a start.
Yeah, I know. He's just shaking his head. As soon as I started speaking, he started shaking his head. But all right, well, today is a travel day for the Cowboys. We are all headed to San Francisco for the first preseason game, which is tomorrow. But in the meantime, I think we have some things to discuss prior to, I mean, it's not a, I wish we didn't have this show today, but we do. Honestly.
Wow. What a great way to get people hyped up to listen to today's podcast.
All right, well, let's start off with the news. Robert Quinn, he fractured his hand earlier this week. We thought, oh, well, let's see how long he's out. What they said, the doctors and all that said he should be ready to go for week 1. Then yesterday, the news comes out that the NFL has suspended Robert Quinn for 2 games. And that came as a surprise for some of us. Some other people maybe have started hearing about that for a while. But just wanted to get your thoughts on what this means for the Cowboys and what they're trying to do at defensive end. Obviously, we still have DeMarcus Lawrence recovering from the surgery. You got Tyrone Crawford from the hip injury. Then you have Randy Gregory. That's the other one. Randy Gregory, who you still don't know what's happening with him. He's suspended indefinitely. So what's going on here with this position, and what do you think how does this change the game for the Cowboys?
Of the 10, 11, 12, whatever the number is, Pro Bowlers on this roster, how many of them do you feel great about for week 1 right now?
That was my question yesterday's show, right? And it seemed like across the table everybody was kind of like, I'm good.
But real quick, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I feel fine. But it is funny that, Travis Frederick, kind of a question mark. Zach Martin dealing with the back. DeMarcus Lawrence hasn't practiced. Byron Jones hasn't practiced. Robert Quinn is now suspended. So, yeah, I get it.
Running back isn't here.
The running back's not here. Wow, yeah.
The receiver's not practicing. Like,
Man.
there's a lot. But my point is that there is a lot of just not being here. And I get your point, Dave, that you think most of these guys will still be there once the games actually start. I'm just a believer in, I do think, whether you play them in the preseason or not, I do think there's a reason why you do these practices. You start building the chemistry. You start building because, I mean, this is a new offensive coordinator. He's trying to figure out how he's going to call this thing and what things work and what things don't. And you take a guy out and put another guy in, and it changes sometimes the dynamic of how something works. And so I just look at all that, and I think that this is going to be one of those years where the Cowboys, and you've probably seen this before with individual players or with a team, where things don't really start clicking until week 3 or 4. You'll see that a lot of times with veteran teams because a lot of them don't do a lot during the preseason. And so the first couple of weeks, it doesn't seem like it's really flowing. It doesn't seem like it's really clicking. I think the Cowboys might be in for a little bit of that. Good thing for them. They're playing a couple teams at the beginning of the season that are not as tough as some of the teams they're going to play a little later, at least on paper as far as what we think of those teams. And so maybe the Cowboys can withstand it, but I don't like the fact that these guys are all missing right now because I think it's important.
I just think the vast majority of these dominoes will fall into place before September 8th. Obviously, Quinn will not. We know he's out for 2 games.
Question mark on Tyrone.
Yeah. But the vast majority of these big-name players, I think, will be where they're supposed to be, which is the field for the Giants game. So I'm still not that worried about it.
I don't think the Quinn situation, he hasn't looked that great out here. I mean, it's early. He's a veteran. He's going up against Tyron Smith. It's kind of hard to look great, but I do think that they were counting on him to be a guy that could, provide some stability and an experience to that position, even on the opposite side of D-Law. So, but it's nothing that they haven't done before. I mean, this team is got plenty of defensive guys that get suspended for the first couple of games.
17 since 2014.
17
It's a
players.
lot.
Wow.
17
Overall
suspensions.
players,
That
yeah.
includes multiple offenders and all that stuff. But
Since when? What year?
14. Rolando multiple
I would
times.
have said like 9.
Randy multiple times. Scandrick, Irving multiple times. DeMarcus. Gregor, Hardy. Did Henry Melton have one too? There's a lot.
I don't know.
I don't
about
think
that.
Henry Melton did, but it's a lot. It's too many, but
All
Well-
on defense.
that's just the defense.
Well, Robert Quinn's situation, it's kind of interesting because once you see what his agent put out as a statement of what happened, it was about a medication that he takes for seizures, and something happened in the pharmacy. There was some kind of cross-contamination from another medication, and there was a percentage of it that got in there that popped up that is used to cover up substance enhancement abuse or whatever it's called, and there is a battle there of how things went down, and them saying that the NFL has said they believe he was innocent, yet they still suspended him 2 times. Now, I've seen a lot of people asking on Twitter about this and asking if he is innocent, why doesn't he challenge it and try to fight for maybe just 1 game suspension or no games at all? Do you guys know how this possibly can work or what happens
He has
now?
challenged it. He has appealed it. This was in April. He's appealed it. Usually it's a 4-game. I think they've reduced it already to a 2-game. So this is it's unprecedented, really, that it's a 2-game suspension. So,
Which when we heard about
Yeah.
it, that was our first thought.
Yeah.
Mainly it can't be for PEDs because that's always 4, and then
Yeah.
he got 2. So that tells you they already reduced what they normally don't reduce.
this is similar to the Scandrick thing, I think.
Yeah, because and we
4
talked
down
about
to
that.
2.
It was, they changed the policy not to include his, what was in his test, and he got it reduced. That's the thing. They do a great job of keeping this stuff under wraps because, we just heard about it yesterday. Pretty much everybody just heard about it yesterday, except for Robert Quinn and his people. They've been going back and forth with the league about this since April. They took the time, his legal team, subpoenaed or whatever the records for this pharmacy to look at this stuff. So that gives you an idea of how long they've been doing this. So I think it's pretty set at 2. Can have a long conversation about the league's policies and their standard of doing businesses and how inconsistent it is. It's not going to change a whole lot between now and when Robert Quinn has to serve his suspension, unfortunately.
All right, well, let's move on and start talking about tomorrow's game, which people are excited. One of the main questions that come to us when we start having preseason games is what kind of starters are going to be playing? So who do you expect to see playing in this game as far as the starter?
If you are healthy, I think you'll see just about everybody. Not for a long time, probably a series or, a set number of plays, 8 to 10 plays. But, we get to watch the walkthroughs. We're privileged in that regard, and it sure looked like a lot of starters were getting some last-minute work last night when they came out here. So
And that seems to be Jerry's.
Dak.
Yeah.
I don't think we won't see Zach Martin. We won't see Amari Cooper. I don't even know if they're going to go to Santa Clara. Amari Cooper's definitely not.
So who are your 5 linemen to start the game?
Tyron Smith, Connor Williams, Travis Frederick, Xavier Suafilo, and Lyle Collins. I think the whole starting offense minus Amari, Zach,
Zeke.
and
I'd be shocked.
Well, Zeke obviously, and then Witten. I don't think Witten's going to play either.
I'll be shocked if Travis Frederick plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do you think he'll play
I
based
think,
off of?
I think the starters will get 8
Cool.
to 10 snaps.
That'd be great. I just would be surprised that they. I mean, he just did 1-on-1 the other day for like this week, I believe, for the first time.
Travis Frederick himself is the one that said one-on-one is stupid and doesn't really apply to centers, though. Like, he was like, I hate that drill. I don't encounter those situations in football ever, so I don't like doing it.
Right.
So,
The center's usually doubling on somebody.
Yeah.
It's rare that he's got just a guy that's kind of isolating him in space. So
I think I mean we're gonna sit next to each other. I'll own up to it if I'm wrong, but I think the vast majority of the starting offense is gonna get a series.
So. I think that'd be great. I just the way they've handled the Frederick thing, it would surprise me if he was out there, but I guess we'll find out. We'll find out right here.
It won't be a lot.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, but baby steps.
The point is you just get to see some of these guys just get it's more of just them getting a taste a little bit. They're at least as the Cowboys look at it, they're evaluating those guys that are going to be coming in after them. Like they know what these guys are. They're just giving them a little taste to kind of get them in the flow a little bit. It's not going to be much in the first preseason game. So
I hope Travis does get some time. I think it's important for him to do that, and it's probably important for them to see some tape of him doing the real thing. And they said before practices even started that he had the full go. They didn't need to be cautious with him. Obviously, you want to be if you need to be, but
thing is, you got 2 more preseason games where those vets will play, and they'll play substantially in the 3rd game. So this game, again, just give them a little taste.
I want to see if he can handle a possession before I worry about making him play the first half.
Yeah, right.
The earlier you can find out, I guess, the better,
I think so.
Yeah.
That's good then. So, okay, let's go around the table and tell me who would be a guy that you are wanting to keep your eye on tomorrow's game. Nick.
I'll say Jalen Jelks because
you said it
the whole camp, and we're writing a piece about that later today, and I haven't written mine yet. But Jalen Jelks, he's gonna, especially with all the defensive end question marks that we have, I think that he'll get an opportunity to play in the second quarter and then into the third. So guys, when you have starters that are banged up, those guys have to play early, and then they're going to play extensive. So I see a lot of 70 for Jalen Jelks. I want to see if he can get around the end and use create some havoc with those long arms. That's my guy.
I'm right there with you. I would say another defensive end, Dorrance Armstrong, and I think he's going to get a ton of playing time. He may be the guy to start, I would assume.
Probably.
He's going to start. And he'll probably, when the other starters start coming out, he's probably going to stay in a little while longer. So you may get to see maybe a half of Dorrance Armstrong. I want to see how he matches up against other competition than the guys out here. Because out here, he's looked really good, in my opinion. Again, a defensive end doesn't have to win every time. Defensive end wins one time per game throughout a season. He's going to be a Pro Bowler. So I want to see if he can do that. Can he get a win? Can he get one win this week? And that'll tell me a lot about what I'm thinking or what I'm seeing out here and how it translates to an actual game against other competition.
These games, like we just said, even if we see the starters, it won't be much. This is where you want to watch the middle and back end of the depth chart for sure, because they're going to have to do most of the heavy lifting. You inspired me on this one, Derek. I want to watch Dalton Schultz because Witten might not play at all, and if he doesn't, Blake Jarwin's not going to play the whole game. I think, he's not this established vet, but I think he's earned that where he doesn't have to play all 60 minutes of this game. So I would expect Dalton Schultz to get a long look, a few quarters at least, and we'll see just how far he's come. No better time to see if you're a good blocker than going against real competition.
And we know how much they like to run 12 personnel, which is one running back, 2 tight ends, which means that even with the starters, he's probably going to be out there some.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, who would be a guy that you think might surprise all of us?
Ooh.
Oh, I know. What can I give 2? Because I like to throw them together, father and son, Mike and Joe Jackson.
Okay, I was like,
I'm
father
just saying.
and son.
Like I've probably
Archer?
maybe I've been a little high. No, I don't think so. I think Nick's just been a little lower than everybody else.
But what?
On Michael. Like you said, Mike. You think Mike Jackson's been okay. I think he's actually been pretty good. Wasn't it you?
No, I don't remember talking about Mike
somebody
Jackson.
else that told me
other
said that.
than he's got really long arms. I don't know.
I think Mike Jackson and Joe Jackson have been pretty good out here, and I'm interested again to see them against other competition because both of them are guys that you like that they're draft picks, but they're not guaranteed a spot. But I think they're right there on that cusp. If they can make some plays in this kind of game and surprise you with one big play, then it kind of pushes them up into that realm of, they got to make this team. They need to make this team, right? So those are 2 guys I think could surprise you.
They do it every day out here, so I assume one of them will do it in the game. Either John Vay Johnson or Jalen Guyton is going to get behind somebody.
Is John Vay a surprise at this point? He won't be for us, but I guess for fans out there.
I mean,
yeah, it will be
if
he
this is your
takes it to a game.
If this is your first look at the Cowboys and he brings in some 40, 50, 60-yard catch, I think that'll catch people's eye.
Remember Eric Rodgers?
Yeah.
See, no, you don't, and neither do fans.
I
He was
remember
number
the name.
14. He was great out here at Oxnard for
He
like
never
3
did it in
weeks.
a game.
He never did anything.
No.
I think he plays in the Arena League now.
But John Vay he's been way more involved than any guy I can remember.
Yeah.
Like we talk about those kind of guys all the time. Those guys usually are doing that against second, third team guys. John Vay's been out here
But
running with the ones a lot.
Here's the thing, though, is well, we'll see. He might get to run with the ones for all
Right.
I know, but he's gonna it's gonna hinder him too because he's gonna be playing with the second and third offense. Like it's gonna be Mike White running for his life
What are you trying to
because Jake Campos is chasing after the defensive end. Like preseason football gets ugly in the second half because you got guys that aren't that good. So if he can do it with a lesser cast, then
you
it
know,
would be
that
impressive.
being said, it happens all the time. The offensive line can't block anybody in the second and third, second half. But it's not like Michael Strahan's living on the Cowboys side of the ball. Like it's not like he gets 8 to 10 sacks.
Yeah,
Have we
but-
noticed that?
But I think we've also noticed though that well, I don't know. I mean, I
I
guess
just think
to
it's
get your
I
point
just
over
think
there.
it's the Cowboys' offensive line has been so bad. I don't remember a bunch of defensive ends just getting 3 to 4 sacks
Yeah.
in the second half. Like, wow, he's good.
which also,
So
fix
their line.
as much as we talk about them not making the team, like you'd like to think that the Mitch Hyatts of the world could maybe hold their own against back into the depth chart competition.
That's the one thing Colombo said right after the draft. I remember asking him about, you got some good guys in free agency there, and the college free agency was like, well, when we get to the preseason games, we're now going to be able to block a little bit in the second half. That was his first statement.
Really?
So we'll see. Now, Brandon Knight he's not
banged
playing.
up. Yeah, he's not gonna
Carter's
play.
off the field, not going to play. So it's Hyatt, and is that it? Like their only guy they got now? Hyatt, Knight,
Well, they had to sign.
Pooney?
No, Pooney's gone.
I know
man.
they signed him, but now he's gone.
They had to sign a guy from Michigan who's
I didn't
got
like his name.
3 names. I can't remember them.
Puna?
The guy they signed on like Wednesday is going to play on Saturday. Welcome to the NFL. That's fun. So we'll see. But
luck.
if one of those receivers takes it to the game, I think it qualifies as a surprise.
William called him a off the bus guy.
Yeah, he did. The tackle.
Oh yeah,
I-
he's like what is he like 6'7" or something?
I pride myself, like, if you're on the team, I know your name. I pride myself on that, and I can't remember.
Well, he's got 4.
Jawan Bushel Beatty, I think is his name.
Bushel
That's
Beatty. Is
hard.
that 2
It's
names or one?
hyphenated, yeah.
Okay, Bushel Beatty.
JBB.
Something like that.
Who would be your guy that might surprise you?
I was going to say one of the receivers, Guyton and John Vay, but mainly Guyton because he's struggled a little bit more, I guess, than John Vay. But Reggie Davis, too, in that group, he's going to get some playing time there at wide receiver. So who's going to surprise me? I think Davis would surprise me if he actually took it to the field and played well. What?
Nothing. I'm just laughing.
Is
To
that
say
your
he would
guy?
actually kind of surprise me.
I think
Just
so
the way
because
you
I
said it.
think Reggie Davis is the guy that we've seen a lot of. Not John Vay, because John Vay's got speed that we don't really see that a ton. But Reggie Davis, the practice squad from a year ago, and now he weighs 137 pounds, and he comes out here and and we'll see. But if he can continue to make plays, I think that would be surprising.
I'll give you another one that might surprise me a little bit because I've seen kind of this. There have been moments out here where he's flashed, but it hasn't been consistent. A receiver is Cedric Wilson. Like there have been some days where he's had some big plays, and then he'll just kind of disappear. You don't see anything from him for a couple days, and all of a sudden he'll flash. So it would be kind of surprising that he would do it, but you've seen flashes of it. So I think that's a guy that maybe might get into a game like this and all of a sudden hit you for a big play, and you're like, oh, Cedric Wilson's now in the mix, right?
I can tell you who's going to be surprised in the press box. The whole press box will be surprised. The Cowboys go down, score a touchdown, and they make the extra point, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Maher makes the extra point. Way to go, Maher!" But he's going to get all the kicks, I believe, in this game.
I hope so.
How could you
let's
not?
just hope he makes them.
Seriously.
I really don't want to have to go through a week of kicker talk if he misses.
Overall, Maher hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been.
I know it's just the way you say it. Overall,
no, but think about it like this. This is just the same way in a game. If the guy has been 20 of 24 for a season, and he missed 2 of his kicks were in overtime and they lost the game. Another one was right at the regulation that didn't force overtime, and another one was just a 37-yarder. You'd be like, yeah, pretty good, but when we really needed you the most, and that's what he's done out here. When it's time
and that's who he's been.
That's who he's
That's
been.
who he's been. That's probably
the
the problem
offense's
with
fault
him.
for being so good to get up there, because if they stay back at the 40 and it's a 57-yarder, money.
It's
5 points for your fantasy league, which is important.
Tough to gauge. It's tough to decide how I feel about him because he's 5 of 6, 6 of 7, 7 of 8. Like he's missing one kick per day. And if I told you that those were all from 45 plus, you'd probably feel all right about it. But there's the 32-yarder and the 40-yarder and the 28-yarder.
So just for kicks, I threw this question out on Twitter yesterday. It was an overwhelming response. It really was an overwhelming response. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. I went back and I looked. Last year, if you just look at some of the statistics, he was at 80% for the season last year. Another guy, Brandon McManus, who I think kicks for the Broncos, he was also 80%. But they're two completely that type of kickers. McManus was 100% from 49 and under. He had not missed a kick all season last year from 49 and under. However, from 50-plus, he was only 2 of 7. You can look at Maher. Maher was, I think, 23 of 29 for everything under 49, but he was 6 of 7 from 50-plus. Which do you prefer? You prefer the guy that's money under 50, but you get beyond 50 and you probably aren't going to make the kick, or a guy that beyond 50, he's pretty money. Like he can get you those really long kicks, but not horrible, but he's not going to be – he's going to have some moments under 49 that are going to be like, how did he miss that kick? Which one do you go with?
Give me the guy that's automatic from short range, because if you had a guy that couldn't hit it from long range, maybe Jason Garrett would be more aggressive in that part of the field anyway, and you wouldn't be settling for 50 and 53-yard field goals in the first place.
Nick?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with the guy. I want to know when it's a 37-yarder, he's going to make it. You know, now he kicks outdoors, and it can be kind of swirly wind, but then again, you would think he'd be better with the with the altitude like that to kick it straight, and it goes 80 yards.
Yeah,
but. And you could, you can make the case of Maher kicks most of his games indoors.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the guy that kicks it that's inside the 49 yards that can make it more, I like that guy more. Because you're right. Play calling would affect all that.
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, give me 6 points and then 1 point instead of just 2 points.
Yeah.
Instead of just 2
Let's
points.
score some touchdowns.
All right, well.
No, I was going to say, actually, somebody was mentioning that. They were like, look,
that's
with this offense, to give me the guy that I know is going to make it under 49 because, like you, I think it was you, one of you guys said this, you get to those long kicks, go for it on 4th down. Like, you got a good enough offense where if you got a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 maybe even, man, take a shot. Go for it because you know your kicker's probably not going to make it from that distance rather than settling when you get to the 40-something yard line and then trying to just make a long field goal.
4th and 2 on the 40 with a percentage that you're going to get it, and then if you kick it from the 47 and miss, then they got the ball at the 47-yard line. I think the percentage of making it 4th and 2 is better than making a 57-yard field goal. Yeah. And they get the ball 7 yards back here. So, yeah, they should go for it a little bit more.
Well, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll keep discussing this and other fan questions that we have coming in.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right. News and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay and, of course, with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. Before we went on to break, we were talking about the kicker position, Brett Maher, and all of that. Now, there is another kicker out there that I've seen a lot of fans mention and ask about. This guy is 44 years old, and he made 20 out of 21 kicks last year with the Falcons, and then he was let go this offseason. Matt Bryant, a name that has been floating around when it comes to this team and the Cowboys possibly bringing him in. Thoughts on this this opinion that fans have on this guy?
15 years ago, they brought him in for a workout here with Parcells, and he was old then. He was a journeyman, 29, 30-year-old kicker, and he didn't get the job then, and I was shocked that he's been doing it for 15 more years. He kicks. Same situation for the Falcons. Half his games are pretty much indoors, and if he can do that for Atlanta, he's probably better here. He only missed one field goal last year.
I don't know. That's what
I'm taking that. Yeah, I'm taking you at your word on that.
Yeah.
Actually, there's another one.
About 20. Yeah,
a bunch of people messaged us about it last night. The Ravens have a backup in their camp named Kerry Vedvik.
Vedvik.
He hit from 55.
He ain't gonna make the team, by the way.
That's why I'm just bringing it up, my guy.
I'm joking. That's the joke.
He hit from 55, 45, and 26. And, typically I roll my eyes at trade rumors. But if you've got a good second kicker, because we know Justin Tucker's amazing, you're probably going to trade him when it comes time to make roster cuts. So something to keep an eye on. I'm totally content to wait until we get back from the West Coast to worry about that. Let's see Brett Maher kick in 2 games. He'll have 2 games to kick a bunch of kicks. And if this is still really troubling, there will be options as you get closer to the season.
I think the question is what is troubling? And that's because Dan Bailey, the Dan Bailey that they had for a period of about 3 to 4 years was arguably one of the best in the history of the NFL. And so because is what Maher's doing now, isn't that what the rest of the league is doing? Other than Tucker and maybe
I did that study too.
Where does he rank?
Last year he was ranked 24th in the league as far as his field goal percentage.
80?
At 80%. That's 24th. And there were 8 kickers. There were 8 kickers, so that would be a quarter of the league. That was above 90%. So it's not even like he is, if you rate him relative to other kickers in the league, that he is still right there around that and we just have a warped perspective because we just watch him. It's not that. He's in the lower part of the league, lower quarter of the league when it comes to his field goal percentage.
Troubling to me is if the same pattern continues where stuff inside of 40 yards is either dicey or no good and you have no confidence that a kick that's being taken from the 25 or in is not a safe bet. I'm glad you brought that up, though, because we all felt fine about Dan Bailey last year, and they were the ones that were troubled because they get to see the person more than the player.
Right.
And that is what gives me confidence about Brett Maher is that they see the person, and they like the person. At least last time I checked in, that was
Which
the
kicker
case.
matters, the person matters,
Absolutely.
right? That's the part that – and explain to people why you say that.
I don't say person like he's a nice guy. Right. That's not what I mean. I mean he's confident. He's not down on himself. He's got a good attitude. He believes in himself, and he's right.
Bad situations don't kill his psyche.
He's right in the mind, which is what you hear about kickers so much, that they're head cases.
Well, apparently last year, Bailey, his confidence had changed to the point after the year before they got to the preseason and the games, and he wanted to kick with the same operation. Wanted to give LP, Chris Jones, kick it. And LP's not going to play the whole game, and they got another snapper for that. And so Bailey kind of wanted to have those kicks there, and so that became kind of an issue. And Maher, even now, apparently is more of the just put the ball down.
Yeah.
Just don't give me the laces. I don't care who snapped it, hold it. Just put the ball down and I'll kick it. And so they do love that part of him. But at the end of the day, they got to make it.
And so, for me seeing less of the person than they do, I want to watch to see if he's shaky from inside the 25-yard line because that's the troubling
And
part.
that booming leg has got to get more touchbacks too. It did well earlier on, but then it seems like it's and it happens with weather and with the wind and stuff like that. You don't get as many touchbacks, but I felt like that kind of he wore down a little bit last year, having to take all of the kicks and the punts. Don't forget last year Maher punted in preseason games as well. So now his role is different. Let's see how he handles it.
Okay, I know the answer to this question, but I got the question on Twitter from a couple people, so I think it's worth you guys at least explaining why the answer will be what I think it's going to be. Why wouldn't the Cowboys in a situation like this where you have a kicker who is really, really good from 50+, why wouldn't the Cowboys at least consider the option of having 2 kickers on their team?
Why? Well, because they don't think it's that much of an issue to waste the whole roster spot, because there's no guarantee that this guy's going to make it over here.
And money. I don't know how much they make, but you're like
I don't think the money.
So who?
But you're spending an extra spot and extra stuff. I know the money wouldn't be a whole ton of issue or anything, but that's just extra resources into something.
The money would be the same as whatever or less than maybe what you're paying for another position. My question is, is it worth it? Is it worth it?
It's a good idea. It's a good idea if one of those guys punts. If one of those guys can
one of them can punt, great.
And I think teams have done that where you're the long kicker.
That makes sense.
But it's not the 53 that's
But you can't have more than 2. You're saying but you can't have more than 2 kickers because of just the way your roster's made.
It's not so much the 53; it's the 46.
There you
go. The 46, man. It's tough to have 3 guys that. You have 4 guys that don't do anything. You have a snapper, punter, big kicker, short kicker.
That was the answer I was hoping you would give, because that's the answer I think that really is the legitimate answer.
I think 4 members of your team that play 12% of the snaps in a game.
Right.
Yeah. And that is a really good point, because I'm sitting here thinking what if they carry a third quarterback? Is that really? Right. But
he's not active.
Third quarterback will never dress for a game.
And that's the point. It's like you're trying to figure out unless you got a lot of injuries, getting to 46 is sometimes pretty tough, right? Mm-hmm. And do you have the luxury of being able to make a kicker one of those guys? Second kicker.
I say this in jest, but not really. And no, I do. But
we're just fake kicking here.
Oh darn! What if just go up to his room tonight and say, Jeff Heath, get to work on he
said that yesterday, and I laughed at him. He was like, I'm not joking.
But they're just work on it every day after practice from now until the season starts, and let's just see how good he is, and if he can handle it.
You think he can do what kickers around the league that do it on a day-to-day basis, and all they do? You think he do better than him?
I'm not asking him to hit from 45. I'm asking him to hit extra points and chip shots.
I get that, but my point still is, there's still kickers in the NFL that all they do is kick, and they aren't 100% at that range. So you're expecting him to do that.
I'm not fully serious, but part of me, if he worked on it every day for the next month, I wonder how good he'd be, because he woke up and didn't know he was going to kick in San Francisco and did pretty damn well on 6 hours notice.
Pretty good. It was pretty good.
That's actually the easy part. It's the kickers when they start thinking all the time,
right.
And the pressure is.
It's probably easier.
He's sitting on the bus,
adrenaline.
riding to the game, thinking, I hope they don't call me at 35 yards to win the game. I don't want to do that.
What do you think, kicker? If it's 20-17 and the offense is driving, obviously they want to win the game.
Yeah,
they want to win the game, but do they want? Like in overtime, like in overtime is either you kick the field goal or you score it. Do they I want this. I want this.
It depends, but that's the point. If you got a kicker who wants them to score a touchdown, most likely he's not going to be a good kicker. Because with any of these positions out here, the best players, they want the ball. They want the opportunity to make the play in the critical moment, because that's just what they do. They're like, I'm so great at this. I want the opportunity to show everybody how great I am.
From everything I've heard, Maher's that kind of guy.
Right.
Even coming off a miss, he's like, "Get me back out there, I'll nail it."
Yeah.
Right.
Which is, I say this all the time, but that's how I'm not wired that way. That's how I know I'm not, because if it was me, I'd be like, "Come on, Zeke, just bust this thing, man. Just bust."
You're over there just rooting hard. You got the towel out.
Get this thing in the end zone and don't put this thing on my shoulders. I don't want that.
But that's also, that just tells you what kind of special mentality it takes to play at this level. And you talk about any athlete. Basketball is probably even more so, because it's only 5 guys on the court. You see their faces and you're taking that last second shot. Like, think about the mentality you have to say, give me the ball to win the game with everybody watching me, and I'm on a center stage, and I'm the guy.
Self-doubt is not in their vocabulary,
no,
and
not.
I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
Because that's all I do.
All right, well, let's keep answering some of these fan questions. One of them is asking, how much of Kellen Moore's playbook are we going to get to see in tomorrow's game?
Probably not as much as you want to, if I had to guess. And they don't tell us what they're going to run, but it's preseason. They don't even game plan. Like, they don't, there's no intricate plan for this. And they also...
They script. There's a difference between scripting and game planning,
yeah,
right?
And then on top of that, there's no way in hell they want to put meaningful stuff on tape for other teams to look at when the season rolls around. So,
which, by the way, right now, no team has really reliable footage on what he likes to call. Mm-hmm. So why give them that when you get to go into a season and be able to catch everybody by surprise because they don't have any film on it.
I think about that when
they don't know tendencies.
I think about that when I videotape every snap of practice. I'm like, knowing the resources that NFL teams put into these things, there's probably guys around the league watching my grainy cell phone videos.
No, but the difference is you're just taking an isolated play. They still don't know in a certain situation what does he like to do. What is his propensity to do in this situation? That's where they're going to have an advantage, at least for the first part of the season.
Oh, it says 3rd and 6 at the 27-yard line.
No, I don't think they do. I think they probably would have shut us down if it was that.
I think it'll look very vanilla.
Yeah.
Who do you think will lead the team in receiving yards? Cooper, Cobb, or Gallup?
Oh, I thought it was for the game.
Cooper's not going to play.
Now we're doing random things.
Cooper, Cobb.
Cooper's.
Cobb. Cobb might not play either. I don't know.
No,
in
the season.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you talking? Did you say yards or receptions?
Yards.
It better be Cooper.
After all that money.
We're about to see. We're about to get. If this contract's going to get done, it better be Cooper.
I think it'll be Cooper. I mean, 80 to 100 catches, 1,100 yards, something like that.
Can I change your question?
Something like that.
Go ahead.
Between Cobb and Gallup, who has more yards?
Somebody asked me about that because I've been raving about Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, well, what do you think his season's going to look like? And I'm like, it's still probably not going to just like boggle the mind because of the way this team is constructed. They're run heavy. I assume they're going to have an all-pro running back who will also catch a bunch of passes. And then you've got Cobb and Witten who are going to be ready-made targets for Dak.
Right. Which Cobb, that may mean volume for Cobb, whereas in, Gallup's going to make some big plays.
38, 554 touchdowns.
Gallup?
Like that.
Wait, say again?
38 catches, 550.
That would be disappointing after what we've seen out here. Because he only had, I think 38 was his exact tally last year.
39. 551, 5 touchdowns.
I'm going to buy into the hype enough to say that I think he can hit 50.
I don't know if they're going to throw that much.
I know. That's the problem.
That's why I think Nick's number is actually good.
Witten.
You tell me he's going to get 500 yards off of 38 catches and 4 or 5 touchdowns. And if Cooper's doing what we think he's going to do, and you got Zeke, and you got Pollard, and you got that, I think that's a really good season for him based on how this offense runs.
That's kind of Alvin Harper type numbers, really.
Your best hope for Gallup, that stat line is fine, but up the touchdowns. And he should have had more last year.
Probably, you're right.
That's true.
He couldn't connect with Dak.
6, 7?
If he brings in a few, like 45 catches for 6 something, but like 7 touchdowns, that's a great year. Great.
Well, I guess that leads into this next question right there. Will the Cowboys have more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns?
I think most.
They better if they're.
Don't most teams have that?
Yeah, but. What? Well, actually, that's the thing is Zeke didn't have that many rushing touchdowns last year. What do you have, 6? And I think Dak had 6 or 7.
Well, they were having issues because,
sucked in the red zone.
Yeah. So is that cleared up by Frederick, where he does have that kind of
but Dak also.
Most quarterbacks have 20-something touchdowns, right? 25.
30 is the new.
Yeah.
Okay, so just if he had 25, Emmett had the record of 25,
right.
Yeah.
And then
Dak. It'll be passing. It'll be passing.
All right, let's take our final break, and when we come back, we'll keep answering some of these questions for the upcoming 2019 season.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. This is the final segment of the break. Now we're going to keep answering some questions sent from the fans out there through Twitter. What are you looking at, Derek?
Seeing what kind of questions you
All right. Next question. How would you rate Dak's deep throws at this point?
You're saying like on a 1 to 10 scale?
Irrelevant.
Ooh.
Dang.
Hit me with the hot take.
Irrelevant out here because he can do them all he wants to out here. Get him in the games. Because we've seen out of him. I know that why we're here practicing and hoping that it translates. But with Dak, everything is totally different. It's got to translate to a game. Sometimes he doesn't even take what he's doing out here, and he plays way better. So I don't mean that it's a big deal because you just said Gallup should have more touchdowns last year because they didn't connect as much. But I think that what he does out here, he had a great throw to Cobb the other day, but I just want to see that in the game. I guess you could say that about everybody, but with Dak, I think it's proven that he plays and practices differently.
He does. It's hard to decide how I feel. Like if you charted up every single throw he's made over 30 yards at this camp, he's probably right around 50%. Like it hasn't been that consistent. It looked like that last year. The thing is you know, but he throws 10 a day out here, and in games it's like 2. And the key is can he find a way to be consistent when it matters? Because he did leave throws on the field, and no quarterback is going to make them all. Like you can go like I'm a jerk about it. I tweet every time. Like every time Brady misses a throw like that, I tweet about it because every quarterback misses them. But Dak needs to be better at being more consistent.
I'll ask you this question, Dave, on that. One of the things I've noticed out here, and it hasn't happened a lot, but there have been 2 or 3 times I've noticed it where you had a guy who was wide open. I'm talking 2 or 3 steps on the next closest defender, and Dak missed him. Mm-hmm. Does that concern you? Because I do think there are some quarterbacks in the NFL, you give them that kind of situation, they don't miss.
Yes, and that's actually –
it's one thing when you're missing when there's tight coverage. There's another thing when you're missing when there's a wide open guy.
Maybe it plays into the gamer versus practice thing is like when it's easy, it's a bigger struggle. And some of Dak's best throws are against like the best coverage. You go look at the throw he made to Gallup in the playoffs last year. Obviously, we've beaten the Beasley throw to death. He's made some really insane throws against great coverage, but Yeah, I'd be lying.
He's made some of those here too.
He has.
Yeah,
he
right,
has.
and that's why I said
the throw Nick just mentioned to Cobb right down
Right.
the seam was
Mm-hmm.
it was gorgeous, and
Right.
the coverage was good. He made another one to Gallup in the corner. I got it on video. Michael Jackson had great positioning, great coverage, and it just didn't matter.
I'm kind of worried a little bit about the guys going up and really just snatching it, like Dez style. I don't think we have a lot of that on this team.
I think you have Cooper and not a whole lot else in terms of guys.
And I
who
haven't
can do
seen
that.
Cooper do it a lot. I'm talking about me versus you, and my hands are going to get it and yours aren't. That we don't see that a lot.
Well, I think the difference is, in my opinion at least, I think these receivers are better route runners, so they don't have that they're not in that situation as much. Dez wasn't a guy that notoriously got a whole lot of separation, so he had to play that kind of game.
Right.
These guys, they're getting separation,
And
so they don't necessarily have to play that game very often.
Romo wasn't a great deep ball thrower. He could never really get that ball out there where Dez wouldn't have to stop and come back and make it.
Yeah.
And Dak's kind of the same way. Sometimes that happens. You have to stop and you have to kind of go fight for it. And I just wonder how well these guys are going to go, grab the ball when it's up there like that.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I think you made the point. Maybe it's different for running backs, but in the compete period, back-to-back days, he missed Olawale and came back the next day and missed Pollard. Like, those misses give you pause. Like, that's not good. And so we'll see how it translates. I mean, I have faith that he'll up his play in the games because he always does, but you'd like to see more consistency. And not to sound like hot take guy, but especially if you're going to pay him a bunch of money, you'd like to see more consistency.
Well, I love the accuracy I've seen on a lot of his throws.
Absolutely.
So that's the part that I'm like. So I don't really think of it as, well, his deep ball has not been as, cause like, I think he's a gamer. I think he's always shown us he's better in games than he is in practice. And the fact that I see improvement in practice says to me he will also improve in the game.
And the other thing
if you take
is,
the logical, transference there.
You're probably going to throw it that far downfield 2 to 5 times a game, depending on the defense. You're going to throw the crossing routes and the slants and the posts a lot more, and that has looked better.
Yeah.
And especially, I'll say it again, the reason I feel so good about Randall Cobb is because Dak consistently hits him in a manner that allows him to get yak.
Yep.
And that's what it's all about. And if
he's better at that than Cole Beasley, who he's replacing.
If he's consistently hitting those 10 to 18-yard throws like he has been, then I'll take what I can get with the deep ball because that's not this team's game anyway. This isn't the bomb away offense. This ain't the Chiefs. It would be fun to follow Pat Mahomes, but we don't have him. So
yeah. You can still follow him.
I mean, well, professionally.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, let's switch up the conversation a little bit. Do you think that Linehan getting let go had anything to do with Witten's return?
You're just trying to start mess.
Hey, these are fans sending in questions. What do you want me to do?
No, I don't, because Witten pumped out the same stat line for 12 years under like multiple different coordinators and multiple different ideas. I think Witten was miserable in his old job and realized he still could play and still wanted to play.
So he would have returned regardless.
I
think the question is valid. I think the phrasing of it might have been flipped around. You said Linehan. What did you say?
Linehan getting let go had anything to do with Jason coming back.
I think Jason returning. He probably, the fact that Kellen Moore was the coordinator and what he likes from Kellen and liked him there. I don't know if it was like, if Linehan's here, I'm not coming back. But it's like I can see what Kellen's going to do, and I think 10-6 and 7-1 in the final 8 games with Amari is the reason why he was like.
And if somehow. Which that was never going to happen. But if somehow Linehan if everything had just stayed the same, you still think Witten would have come back?
I do.
I do too.
Yeah, probably.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
a combination.
But you were right. You were right. I think it's what you said at the end there. It's about the fact of how this team was playing at the end. I think Jason probably looked at that and said, what I could bring as a tight end, if they had that during that stretch, I think they could have gone farther. So I think I can actually add something, and I think this is a really good team. I think that's why he wanted to come back, on top of the fact he was, like you said, probably not having the greatest time sitting there watching the game and talking about it versus playing.
And his future wasn't there. I mean, we all know it. Some people are good at some things and some aren't, as we talked about today in other areas.
Don't go there.
Well,
This is supposed to be my respite. I get away from all the management stuff. I get to
We
just
got about 30
talk
seconds,
football.
and we'll be back there, right? We're about to wrap this thing, right? It's very
I mean,
rappy.
like I said at the beginning,
Rappy.
you can get up and go whenever you want. So it still applies.
I'm getting
We
there.
still have like 8 minutes left. Now,
All right.
with Witten, talking about him, do you think that he would be able to make the Pro Bowl this year?
No.
Yes.
I
But
don't-
I'm not trying to throw shade, but the Pro Bowl doesn't mean what it always meant. You're going to have dropouts. You're going to have injuries. Like you see it all the time. Guys who were probably 8th in the pecking order wind up going to the Pro Bowl. And I think Witten's probably going to play enough snaps to catch anywhere between 50 and 70 balls for 600 yards. And if he throws some touchdowns in the mix, add that to the fact that he's a future Hall of Famer, hell yeah, he could go to the Pro Bowl.
I'm thinking about the guys that right now I think are going to be the best tight ends in the NFC.
Ertz,
Kittle comes to mind.
Kittle.
Ertz has 1,000 catches.
Yeah.
He gets it.
But I'm saying when you start thinking about it from that standpoint,
But again,
I think Jason's, as far as just production is concerned, I think Jason's going to be farther down the list.
He is.
And these guys that are going to have some of the production, it's not like they aren't guys that are like Kittle. When he first popped on the scene, everybody's like, "Who's this Greg Kittle guy?" But now George Kittle. I'm sorry, George. There's my point.
Exactly.
But the point now is that people are starting to kind of take notice of him. They started really catching on. Like, this guy's a pretty good tight end. This year, he's not going to surprise anybody. If he has that kind of production, he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber guy.
Kittle, Ertz, Ingram. Who am I forgetting? Rudolph is still doing stuff. You got the new kid in Detroit, Hawkinson. Maybe that could happen.
Who's in Who's in New Orleans now?
They signed a guy. I already
Didn't they
forgot.
sign?
Oh, they signed Jared Cook.
That's
yeah,
who it was.
that's a
And
big
he's
one.
a pretty good tight end from the
Yeah.
standpoint of numbers
But
with a good quarterback.
Ingram, is that who you said?
Yeah.
Evan Ingram?
Here's the thing, though.
Pretty
Like,
good. They ain't going to the Super Bowl.
One-
I mean, Kittle's not going fighting.
but
good point.
One of those dudes will probably be in the Super Bowl. Hell, maybe it'll be Witten for that matter.
Yeah.
One of those dudes will be in the Super Bowl. One of them's gonna freaking suffer a deep bone bruise in Week 16 and be like, nah, I don't want to go to the Pro Bowl. And all of a sudden, the 7th best tight end in the NFC will be in the Pro Bowl. Like, it happens every year.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's possible.
All right. Well,
Not because he'll be one of the 2 or 3 best tight ends in the league, but because of the way
how
the Pro
it's
Bowl
structured.
works. Yeah.
With the suspensions that are looming, does that give us an opportunity to look at bubble players a little bit longer?
Mm-hmm. Especially, and there's no position that has more bubbleness to it than the defensive line, which has it is a very, if
Bubbly.
everybody was there that's on this little depth chart right there, I was making sure I had the defensive side.
Yeah, it is.
Every one of
Defensive
those
line.
guys was ready to play. It would be a very tough cut. I mean,
Would be.
You got 16 guys there. Woods, Crawford, Taco, Malik, Covington. All those guys you think are going to be there. DeMarcus.
That's
Quinn.
that.
Then what? Tristan Hill, he'll make it.
What's that legendary clip of Romo the day Quincy got cut when he's like, "Ain't cutting me today."
Yeah.
Well, I bet Taco Charlton felt some semblance of that when he heard about Robert Quinn.
Yeah.
I mean, like Daniel Ross has been here for 2 years. Was pretty good at times last year, and then he might have had some inactive moments. But he looks like a bigger guy. Like he gained 15 to 20 pounds. I mean, but no one even talks about him even being in the rotation because they got Covington, they drafted Hill.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
he
watch him be here.
He contributed last year. He was he was
Wise.
a part of that. Wise is a guy I thought about bringing up as far as like a surprise on Saturday night because you would imagine he's going to play a decent amount.
Yeah.
He's flashed some stuff here. I wouldn't be surprised if he bowls over a guard or two on Saturday night.
16 linemen. Can they keep 11?
They can. They have before. It's rare. I think in
All right.
in 14 they
It's not
did
as hard to
11.
cut 5 then.
In
Soto, Walker.
I just
Ross.
feel like every time I think
It is
they're
hard.
every
Jelks.
time I think they're only
Huh?
going to keep
Jelks, maybe.
Every time I think they're going to go long, they keep like 8. Like one year they kept 8, and I was flabbergasted. So
Well, I mean, we still have the guy getting carted off the field in one of these games with a high ankle sprain or something, and he's out for a little while. I know it happens, but I'm just
It
saying
does happen.
These things trickle. I mean,
Yeah.
they work themselves out.
Well, with that, the whole suspension things and some of these guys not being available for the beginning of the season, how much does that affect maybe what they're trying to do with the roster of maybe keeping somebody else at another position, but now they're having to carry more at that position on the D-line?
Well, with the suspension,
it's the Quinn thing. it's not good that he's suspended, but it helps them because he doesn't count toward their roster.
Now, let me ask you this, though. Just from a procedural standpoint, though, do they have to have him on the roster when they first get to 53, and then they can move him, which means they still have to have that spot, or can they immediately move him to the suspended list?
Like 90 guys, you got to get to 53.
Yep.
You got 37 cuts, right?
Yeah.
37 cuts. You got to cut 33. This guy goes to injured reserve. He's out for the season. These 3 guys, this guy goes to suspension list. There's all these different.
So you don't have to. So there's no point where you have to make a decision about the roster because of him.
No.
You basically keep an extra guy until he's off suspension.
Quinn immediately hits the suspended list.
Has Rico been claimed?
I don't think so. I need to check on that.
Just curious.
He immediately goes to reserve suspended at like 4:01 Eastern on August 31st.
That's a good thing for the Cowboys from the standpoint of just the roster.
Whether it's Taco, whether it's Ross, whether it's Daniel Wise, like
somebody's going to get
one
2
of
weeks.
those guys will get that spot most likely for 2 weeks.
And then somebody gets hurt in a different position, and they stay around.
Yep.
So it's good.
Yeah, you hold on as long as you can,
This
basically,
team,
in the NFL.
This team knows how to handle suspensions on the defensive line. Like, they know how to handle
They're
it.
not novices.
They're experienced there.
Well, yeah. Watch the suspension thing. It won't work against them because obviously they'd love to have Randy back. But if Randy were to come back, then that's a spot you don't have all of a sudden.
Week 3, he'll come back.
We'll see. Who knows?
And you're still keeping an eye on what might happen with Crawford. So there's a lot that's still kind of undetermined there.
Between the possibility of a suspension and the fact that he's on PUP, I want to know what's going on with Tyrone, one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, I think that's all the time we have for today. We'll be traveling later on over to San Francisco. Derek, do you want to?
San Jose.
San Jose, as Nick made me remember. We're going to San Jose.
All right. It's right there. Do you want to go ahead and promote the broadcasting where it's going to be televised, or what you guys do for the game?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. What we're going to do this year, actually, the NFL has changed some of the rules, and they are allowing us to stream the game live on our mobile app and our website, but only for people in our local viewing market. So if you're in the local viewing market, you can watch it on the app or the mobile. You can watch it on the app or our website live while the game's in progress. For those of you outside of the market, what we will do is the same thing we did last year. You need to get the Connected TV app. You can get it on Roku, you can get it on Apple TV, and you can get it on Amazon Fire. But if you have that, the morning following the game, we will have the game available on our Connected TV app. It's called Cowboys Now, and you'll be able to watch it from there. And obviously that makes a little more sense for the preseason because you don't care as much about the outcome as much as you want to see different players. So you can go back and watch that the following morning. So Sunday morning this week, you will be able to watch that game on Connected TV.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dave, for
problem.
your presence
Good
today.
job. Good job, AG.
See you guys on Monday. We'll be back then, and hopefully you get to watch this game, and we get to see some players kind of shine out there when the lights come on. Thank you so much. This has been Cowboys Break on, what is it? What's the ending?
DallasCowboys.com
radio.
Bye.
Ciao.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!